What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another player rating show here on Back of the Net. Unfortunately, for only the second time, it's off the back of a defeat. Went down 3-2 to Preston last night. First of all, credit to Preston. Thought they were brilliant and their away record speaks for themselves. And I'm sure when they sort out their home form, they'll start climbing the table because they were probably the best opponents we've seen in the league so far this season. Having said that, disappointing from ourselves. We showed that bits of quality and character near the end, but it was too little too late. Gave ourselves a mountain to climb and something that Jason and the team will have to look to address. And luckily, we've only got a few days until the game against Barnsley. So hopefully we can get back to winning ways. But it was a disappointing one last night. And we'll just crack on into the player ratings. I've got a guest with me today is Cameron Reid. Hi, Cameron. What did you think of that last night, mate?
I just think disappointing overall, really. I think usually I'm quite passionate during the game. But I just felt very lacklustre last night, much like the team, really.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
I think the main thing that was worrying in comparison to the other games this season was we weren't only outfought, but we were kind of outplayed, really.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, because I think sometimes when we've perhaps not played as well, we've maybe been, like you say, bullied a little bit, like against Rotherham, and there was a game plan. But that was the first game where I thought they were actually a better team, which was surprising because of the players we got available. I don't know what you thought. I thought we looked quite leggy. I thought players like Lewis Cook, Lerma, Dom, Solanke, you can see they've played a lot of football. And that might be something you've got to manage that rotation in this league, haven't you? But definitely. We'll see what happens, mate. We'll get into player ratings. Obviously, starting in goal with Asmir, and I mean, to be fair, he conceded 3 goals, but didn't think he had a bad game. He obviously got lobbed for one, but I thought that was more of a hell of a finish from Sinclair. Yeah. I remember him making one big save in the first half, actually, tipped over the bar. But what did you think with Asmir on the whole?
Yeah, it's a hard one for Bego because obviously he's conceded 3 goals, but I don't think he's really done much other than pick the ball out of the back of the net, really. I mean, apart from they were clinical at the end of the day, and they took their chances. In fairness, with the second one, there's nothing you can do there. I'm afraid it's just like it's a world-class finish from not a world-class player. But I mean, you could argue maybe he should have done better for the first one. Obviously, it was a cross along the box. He came out to it, but again, it's come across at such pace, and you've kind of got to rely on your defenders there really to do the job. But I think I've gone with a 6 out of 10 purely because you can't really give him any more, any less than that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like you say, mate, he's not at fault really, but he has let him 3 goals, so you can't give him 2 eyes. So yeah, one of them, isn't it? Right back, and Smithy, and I mean, he's going to probably be forced to play a lot of games with the news on Stacey's injury. And I'm still, I mean, I've always been a big Smithy fan, but at the moment, he's just not hitting them levels. And I don't know where he's had that knock. He's not quite up to speed yet. I'm not sure, but what did you make of Smithy last night?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, in the Premier League seasons, I thought Smithy kind of went under the radar a lot of the time. I thought when he wasn't playing, we kind of looked a different team without him. And I think up until last season, when obviously Stacey came in, he was probably a foregone conclusion to be at right back. But I agree with you. I think in terms of his position, he seems a shadow of his former self. I mean, I remember when he used to make those bombing runs inside in the middle of the pitch, take it on 3 or 4 players. He seems very subdued. And as you said, I don't know if it's because he's had a knock or maybe it's what he's being told by Tyndall. I don't know, but I've been disappointed by Smudge this season, to be honest. Yeah. And I think, especially in the last 2 games, you think he'd take that chance, especially with Stacey being out for 8 weeks or whatnot. You think he'd take that chance, but he's kind of really yet to impress me. And I think he's kind of gone anonymous in a lot of the games, really. Yeah. So I think I've gone with a 5 out of 10 because not really impressed by it.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I think the most damning thing is if it weren't for Stacey's injury, I think you would have struggled to find a fan who would have started Smith ahead of him if they were both fit. And I always thought Stacey had the quality to push him, but I always thought, well, let's calm down. Remember, Smithy's a good player, but I can't argue that if Stacey was fit, he gets in. And I'm not sure. And you made a good point, because I do wonder if maybe he's being told to do something slightly differently, playing at fullback, whether Jason's kind of telling him not to bomb on as much, potentially, we don't know. But Yeah, hopefully he gets back to his form anyway, because we know what he can do, especially at this level.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the centre halves was Chris Mepham, who, to be honest with you, I think he's been gone under the radar a little bit of late. I think since he come on at half time against Reading, I think we've looked so much more balanced with him and Cookie in there. But it wasn't a great one for the whole of the defence last night. I mean, we conceded 3 sloppy goals. So what did you make of Meps?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said on Twitter, and I agreed with you. I think we definitely do look a much more solid unit with Meps and Cookie at centre back. And as you said, I think Meps goes under the radar. I think he gets a lot of unwarranted criticism, actually, a lot of the time. I saw a couple of tweets last night saying that he shouldn't be anywhere near the starting 11. I think it's unfair. I think a lot of people forget he's still only 23. Yeah, and a lot of centre-backs usually kind of mature a lot later than that. And he has a lot of years ahead of him, and I think it can only help him playing alongside Cookie, who has experience at this level and at the top level as well. And I think he didn't do anything last night to warrant the criticism that he gets, really. Obviously, it was a poor display all round for the defence, but I mean, I've gone with a similar rating with Cookie because I don't think the centre-halves were too much at fault for a lot of it.
No, I know what you mean.
I know Tyndall alluded in his interview after the game, said there might have been a bit of a miscommunication between him and Meps for the second goal. But I honestly don't think either of them played particularly badly. I think the problems came from the fullbacks and the players in front of him, really. So I've gone for a 6 out of 10 with Meps because, as I said, I don't think he did anything too wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, mate. I think a lot of the goals tended to be, especially the ones in the second half, it was kind of that counter, and we weren't really set up well. But the defence were kind of exposed. The centre halves were exposed, and what can you do in that position? But yeah, I think Meps, like you say, in general, I think, as I mentioned, since he come back into the team, what I like about him as well is the way he brings the ball out. He kind of gets us up the pitch. And yeah, he's, like you say, he's not the finished article, but at his age, he's got a lot left in him, I think.
Yeah, I think he can be maybe sometimes he can be a bit overconfident. He can get caught on the ball a couple of times, but I think in the whole, his distribution's fantastic.
And he's definitely an Eddie Howe type centre half, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a cultured centre half. But I think it was what was evident in that Reading game was I remember the first half. I think it was Jow up top. Jow. He was really bullying us, and then we brought Meps on and kind of changed it a little bit, and he didn't lose a header second half.
No.
I think that goes under radar sometimes, is that he's quite decent in the air as well. Like I say, one of the best one for the defence in general last night, but I'm happy with him so far. And obviously skipper Cookie, who's been one of our most consistent players all season, probably going to say similar things to Meps, are you?
Yeah, I mean, I gave the same for both, really. I mean, nothing stands out for me that he did particularly wrong. No. As I said, I think the goals, if you look at the first goal, it was something that came down the right, but it was a counter-attack at the end of the day. And I think it was Meps and Cookie were in the box for the free kick anyway, and they've had to dart back. So you can't really say anything about their position in there. It's unlucky. It's the fault of the attackers, really, that we didn't put in a better set piece. But how many times have we said that this season?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, true.
And yeah, for the second goal and the third goal, I don't think you can blame either of the centre halves, really. So yeah, I've given him a 6 out of 10. Same with Meps because
can't argue with that. And like I said, I think if we're going to play that certain way, we've just got to get a bit more of a balance in terms of getting countered on, because teams are going to look at that, and it's easy to look at the defence when you can see a few goals, but at the end of the day, like I say, they were exposed and probably didn't get enough protection at times. And the other fullback, it's such a weird one. I mean, I felt so sorry for him because I thought he had a bad 45 against Reading. I mean, it was an awful 45. But in general, I've been pretty happy with him, and he kind of got taken out for that. Then Lloyd come in, and I thought he doesn't want the left back slot either. And it almost makes me think, one, I can see why Smithy started the season there, because Diego and Lloyd don't look brilliant at left back. And it's also making me think, why didn't we give Daniels a season? Which is mad. But I like Diego, but once again, I don't know what happened. He was brilliant at left centre back. He was brilliant at wing back. Exactly the same as kind of Lloyd Kelly, better in that left centre back of a three. But at left full back, I don't know what's going on. I can't remember him completing too many passes. What did you think?
I feel like I'm going to be really harsh here on Diego, but I think you alluded to there about Daniels, and I said the same last night. I don't think we've ever replaced Daniels.
No, I agree.
And we've tried so many times, and I think, like you said, with Kelly, he's looked better at centre back, and I think Rico's best performances this season have came at left centre back, and I think it's mainly down to he's very one-footed, and he really struggles to. He doesn't even touch it with his right foot. He rarely passes with his right foot. And the problem is when you're playing left fullback, you've got no one to that left side of you. No. So he's putting himself under a lot of pressure. I think I saw Sam Summers tweet that at half time he gave the ball away 17 times, which was more than any of the other defenders.
Typical Sam Summers coming out of a stat like that, and yeah, gets a shout out. No, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think he was out of position a lot. He's not the quickest getting back either, and I feel like we just did look very open. I understand he had Roro obviously on that left, and it wasn't giving him that defensive protection, but I was surprised he wasn't hooked off at half time again, to be honest. I've gone with a 3 out of 10 for Diego. I was not impressed by him at all.
No, at the end of the day, like we say, we're not saying we don't like Diego as a player, but last night he was poor. But I'm trying to I'm almost, because I know that Rico's a decent player, and I know that Lloyd Kelly, I've seen him for the under-21s at left back, he's brilliant. And it's making me think, one, Arnie's played there most of the time in front of them, and Arnie, absolute magician, but does he do a lot of defensive work? Probably not.
No.
And then you see him Roro last night, in the first half particularly, and obviously not doing that either. And I'm just trying to, play devil's advocate really and work out whether they're not getting supported enough, and maybe that right side have got a little bit more support in front of them. I'm not sure, but it just seems to be something that when everyone that's played left back this season has struggled, so there's got to be something in that. It'd be interesting. A lot of people are
calling for Zamora to come in. It's a hard one because obviously we've seen him rarely, obviously in pre-season and whatnot. You don't know. I mean, it's gonna be back and forth all season. Who's going to play left back? And until someone puts a run of games in, I think it's going to be like that for the rest of the season. It's probably going to have to be like that anyway for rotation, especially in this Christmas period. But
that's what I mean, though. Everyone players that aren't playing look better when you don't perform well. So when we weren't very good at the weekend, everyone's crying out for Roro. Because we haven't seen him, and we just think, he must be the answer, and then he gets hooked off at half time last night. And it's, if we go and concede 5 on Friday night, and then for everyone to be going, we need Carter Vickers back, but we don't even know what he's like. So
no.
I think it's a shame we haven't got, as much as it's good for the fixture congestion and stuff. I'm quite looking forward to the Oldham game in a few weeks to see Zamora, Anthony off the ball and see them from the start. But we'll see. I mean, we haven't got many options there. I mean, we can't move Smithy over without Stacey, so we'll see. No. Good to see Lewis back in the middle as well. He's been brilliant this season. Got better and better with every game. But I think for me, he didn't do anything wrong, but it was clear for me that he had come off the back of an injury. Looked a bit leggy. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, from the starting 11, especially in the first half, I'd say even though he looked a bit leggy, he looked a bit jaded, I still thought he was the one that, out of the midfield, probably put in the most effort. He did try and drive the ball forward. He was picking it up in the deep areas. And I think after the Rotherham game, a lot of people alluded to his absence being probably the key reason to. But I think today it probably showed it was those around him, really. As I said, he showed the hunger and the drive for the ball, but I think he was just ultimately let down by the midfield around him. And obviously, maybe we've rushed him back. He played a lot of games in a row. He had some really bad knocks as well in the games prior. I've gone with a 7 for Cookie in comparison to the other midfielders, just because I thought he showed that little bit more than them.
Yeah, no, I probably agree. And I think he's probably going to be forced into playing regardless of how he feels on Friday with Lerma's yellow. But what I like about him when he's playing deep is the way when he receives the ball, literally in one movement, he's away from 2 of them, and like you say, drives on. And I've been so pleased to see him kind of living up to that hype, because it's been injuries and things like that. And I think what was difficult when we're in the Premier League, when you're losing games, we couldn't give him that run of games that he probably needed.
Yeah.
Because there were certain games where we thought, we'll just get Gosling in there and try and grind a result out. But like you say, I think even though Lerma's like a better footballer than Gosling, for example, you can get away with bringing Gosling in for Lerma for a game and just give you that energy. But we haven't got someone like Lewis Cook. So
I think
it's
Lewis
evident
Cook
when he's not there.
Yeah, he's a bit of a victim of Eddie Howe's changing last season. We changed that midfield a hell of a lot, and he didn't get a run of games. And I think that was the case with quite a few of the players. But I said at the start of the season, if he gets a run of games in this division, I don't think there's a better midfielder in the division. His technical quality on the ball is probably up there with the very best. I think he has that kind of low centre of gravity that is almost Jack Wilshere-esque, really. I think a lot of people made that comparison when they were both here at the time.
Definitely.
But I don't think this game would have scuppered any thoughts about him this season. He'll kick on, and he'll definitely probably be one of our players of the season, really.
Yeah, I agree. And you say about him being one of the best in the division. I think with Jeff, they should be one of the best partnerships as well.
Definitely.
I think Jeff is another one. I mean, I love Jeff, but probably the last couple of games where we haven't performed, he hasn't stood out. I never feel like he has a bad game, though. Do you know what I mean? And I still last night didn't think he was bad. He certainly won up to his levels, but there were still a few good tackles. You still see he's driving on and stuff, and we are going to miss him. We are going to miss him on Friday.
Yeah.
But do you agree with that on Jeff?
Yeah, I think it's another one. I think we always look a different team without Jeff in there just because of his hunger. And he is a presence on the pitch, and he's there. And, he's always putting in the tackles. He had his trademark shot into the rosette of the south stand last night. I wish he'd just start putting his head over the ball and stop leaning back when he has a shot. But again, it's not a player that's had a bad game. I feel
he
like
doesn't let you down, does he?
No, and I feel like it's like that with a lot of the players here, really. I don't think they necessarily had bad games. He just didn't have good games, and a lot of them, as you said, did look very jaded, very leggy. I think that was just the whole night, really.
Yeah.
So I've given him a 6. As I said, I don't think he's had a bad game, but nothing outstanding.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I agree with you, mate. It's just one of them. No one really at the levels looked a bit leggy, but I think in general there wasn't any apart from maybe the fullbacks, like we've alluded to, there wasn't real shockers.
No.
I mean, nice to see Roro come in. I'll just go with Roro. Everyone was calling for it. I probably agreed that I felt that it was better to play Junior kind of more central, where he'd be getting a lot of joy. Bringing a wide man, he's got to get his opportunities sometimes. I felt a bit sorry for him. I did put a half time. I thought that would be the sub because we needed to get someone closer to Dom, and Roro is always going to be the one that's going to be sacrificed. I don't know what you think, I felt like he was trying too hard. He looked like a player that just wanted to go, I need to show something brilliant to get into this team. When I just felt he should have just got the ball sometimes, got his head up and just laid it off. But there's certainly quality there, isn't there? It just didn't quite happen for him.
Yeah, I agree with you on that sense that I think he was trying too hard. And the thing is, I think he has obvious skill and he has obvious composure on the ball. And I think it's like I was saying to my dad, it's like a lot of the attackers in Spain, and especially at youth level, you're taught that close control. And he has a good first touch. And I think if he did just keep it simple, it would have been a lot better. As I said, I did feel really sorry for him, to be fair, because obviously the rest of the team were kind of underperforming as well. And if the team was kind of buoyant and playing off each other, you would have probably had a better game. But I mean, I think maybe it would have been an idea in previous games to kind of given him more minutes. I think a lot of people have alluded to the fact that he's quite weak. And if you play him, a lot of people wanted to play him against Rotherham, but you looked at them, half their players were 6 foot plus. Do you know what I mean? They'd have. Yeah. But the problem is in this division, everyone's physical. Everyone's going to work hard. Everyone's not going to give you space. So if you keep saying that, then he's never going to play at the end of the day. You've just got to throw him in there. I gave him a 5 because it was unfortunate. He has been hooked off at half time, but it's not necessarily he's played awfully.
No, and I think we've got to put it into perspective as well. I think most people agree with you that Rico was one of the poorer performers, and he's playing on his side. So, that wouldn't have helped if he had Rico on top form. Probably would have seen a better Roro. But I genuinely think it was all down to that. I can just imagine if I was a player that's been sat on the bench getting no minutes, you get your first chance.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to get it and give it. You're going to want to beat a man. There was one where he done really well, and then he just skied it, and you think, you could see he was too excited.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's definitely good, and that was his first competitive start ever in
Yeah,
football, in a
yeah.
in a
People
professional
do
football
forget
match.
that.
So yeah, I think let's not get carried away with it. But I do think this season he will be someone that will be key to the squad and will be a really good, lively impact sub, as we've already seen
Definitely.
against QPR.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think he'll be someone that will start too many games.
No.
But I hope he doesn't get his confidence down too much,
Yeah.
because
I
it was
mean,
just
it must
one
have
of
been
them games.
hard for him. You first start and you get hooked off at half time. From the outset, it seems
Yeah,
bad, but in essence, I think it needed to happen because we just needed a change. It ultimately didn't work,
yeah.
but at the
It
time,
almost didn't work, but it kind of did, because I thought the sub
yeah,
was still right. Yeah, it was a weird one.
yeah,
So Junior went back more central, where he's been doing a lot better. I've been really impressed with Junior. I mean, I can't believe
yeah,
how many games he's starting in a row. I just feel like his legs must be killing him.
yeah.
But he got a good goal, his last touch, our first good set piece, about time.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I didn't really notice he was there, mate. I don't know what you thought.
No, I feel like that's the case with Junior a lot of the time.
Hot or cold?
Yeah, it'll go anonymous for a couple of games, and then he'll play well for a couple of games, and you think, oh yeah, he's getting into a bit of form now, and all of a sudden like that, he's out of the game again. I think he was, yeah, definitely forgettable for the large portion of the game, which in a creative midfield player is not very ideal. But again, I feel like Preston's midfield made it hard for our midfield, definitely. And, like with a couple of other players, it was kind of, they always had two men on you, and they shut it down very well. He was a stunning free kick. And I think we know that he probably should be on free kicks the majority of the time. And, when him, Brooksy and Dan Juma are standing over it, I'm always hoping that he's the one that takes it, because Dan Juma's and Brooksy's have been kind of horrific so far this season. But yeah, as you said, he's played a lot of games, in fairness to him. And considering he usually has paper legs, I'm happy for him that he's been able to play consistently. So I've given him a 6. I've given him a 6 just for the goal, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. Probably a standard 5, but then he puts a free kick in. So yeah, give him the old 6. Yeah, I agree with that. And one that was really weird and disappointing, because since Brooksy's come back in, you're thinking we got the best player in the league, and I probably still agree with that, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's different class, but and I've done a few little shows with opponents, and all of them have said, well, we just can't cope with Brooks. And I think he's definitely finding that they're doubling up on him. We've got to put that into consideration, but it just didn't happen for him last night, did it? No. It was just one of them.
No, I think he found himself a lot of the time picking up the ball quite deep, especially near the halfway line, just because he wanted to make something happen.
Yeah.
Maybe he was forcing it a little bit too much, trying to force balls in. This is a guy that hadn't started or played in 90 minutes up until a couple of weeks ago for 19 months, and he's now playing consistently.
Yeah.
And maybe if we had a bit of better squad rotation, maybe if Kingy was involved more, or if Dan Juma was fit, he might not have started this game. But as you said, like against Rotherham, he was marked out of the game quite a few times. Maybe he should have done better second half with that chance that he kind of air shot, and then they've gone up the other end and scored. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go against him too much. As you said, he is still probably the best player in the league, in my opinion. And you know that he won't be happy with himself. I think he's that kind of player. You can see he just loves playing football. I think he's that kind of lad, and I don't think he'll let that happen again. Whether he'll play against Barnsley, I'm not too sure. It just depends. Again, with a squad rotation, you're playing 2 days later. It's going to be tough, especially on Brooksy, especially on Junior. We're going to have to be careful with these kind of players, because we don't want to burn them out and give ourselves a tough January window if they get injured.
Yeah.
I've given him a 5 just because it wasn't usual Brooksy, and I think, as I said, he probably should have done better with that chance in the second half. But
yeah, there's high expectations of Brooksy, isn't it?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? He's raised that bar, but I agree with you in terms of the rotation. It's so difficult because you don't want to be making 5-6 changes all the time. But
no.
I think the player that was playing the most in terms of playing in the cup as well was Jack Stacey. He was playing more than anyone. He didn't even get dropped in the cup. He was playing, and he's the one that's now out for 8 weeks. So you got to look at that. And what I almost think it might be a blessing in disguise losing Lerma, because he's literally, since he's come back from a hamstring injury, he's played twice for Colombia and then started every game
as well.
So yeah, it's needed. And another one that I think's been excellent lately. Actually voted for him Player of the Month. I think Begovic is probably going to get it, but can't argue with that. But it's Dom, and I just thought this was the first game. I thought he looks a bit leggy. He looks a bit burnt out. I think in terms of what you mentioned there about Brooksy and Stanislas, I think one of them might get rested on Friday, and we'll see Surridge alongside Dom. But without Kingy, like you alluded to, it's becoming difficult to maybe rest Dom, because he's been brilliant. He's earned that right. But I thought he looked leggy last night. What did you think?
Yeah, I think Dom's come on leaps and bounds this season. A lot of people written him off last season, but he has played a lot of games in a short space of time. I thought he was marshalled quite well by the Preston back line. As you said, he looked a bit leggy. He looked a bit heavy on the ball. He didn't have that kind of quick feet that he had in the previous games that won him the penalties and whatnot. And he was just a little bit too predictable. But again, I think it's just down to the sheer amount of games that they've played in a short space of time. But I don't think it should take away from the fact that he was brilliant in November, and he was well deserved to be in the run-in for the Player of the Month. If he does play on Friday, then it's a tough one, because obviously Surridge came in, and we'll talk about him in a minute, but Surridge is probably hot on the heels now after that. And, you'd make a case if we did have that better rotation that he could miss out the game. But, then we're saying we can't have Brooksy, Stanislas or Solanke playing. Then who are you going to play at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's what Jason's getting paid for, to manage that squad. So see what happens. But we're going with Dom.
I've gone with a 5 for Dom. It's the same with the forward line. I think all of them underwhelming, not exactly bad, but I think it goes a lot down to, I just think that Preston did play very well, to be fair. And they did marshal our front line quite well. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. And look, at least now we can get a few little... I'm not going to go into all the subs too much, but we've definitely got to talk about the man that came on at half-time, Sam Surridge. And I said a few weeks ago, when Dom was playing well but not scoring, I said that I thought Sam Surridge should be banging on the door and saying, give me a chance and I'll get a goal. And he's done that, to be fair to him. I saw his little post-match chat where he kind of said, he's been frustrated, and he just knows that when he comes on, he's got to make an impact, otherwise he's not going to get a shout. And
definitely.
He done that. And I don't think he's technically the best player, but every time he comes on the pitch, he makes a little bit of an impact. He puts himself about. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of, a bit like we did against Coventry, some sort of potentially a 3 at the back and maybe a Surridge and Dom partnership on Friday. We'll see. But good impact from Surridge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And like you say, when he comes on, he does make a little bit of an impact. I think what's different about him to our other strikers, he seems to be very good in terms of his attacking awareness. I feel like he takes up really good positions inside the box, and he really did harry their back line. He was giving them a right good battle, and I think with confidence he could be a good little player for us. I mean, he's proved it at this level with Swansea, and we know he can score goals. And I think that if we do give him a chance, especially with this, we've got, what was it, 8 games between now and January or whatever it was. You've got to give him some games, and I think he will score goals. I think a lot of people gave him some criticism as well after Rotherham when he came on. Unwarranted, I think. But yeah, give him a start, and I think that he will show that he can score.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he's I remember in the City game as well when he scored a goal. It's a hell of a finish. He does look like he's got a nice. But I like him, and I think sometimes Dom almost up there. You feel a bit sorry for him. He could do with someone a bit closer. So I think that could be a way to go. It's a good option to have that you can put them both on. But He's my man of the match. Is he yours?
Yeah. I went for him as man of the match. Not that it was any great competition, but no, he made the desired impact. We looked a different team when he came on, albeit too little, too late. But yeah, I've gone with 8 out of 10 and a man of the match for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. And got to mention Jayden Anthony, because I thought,
yeah,
in a bit like what we said about Roro, when he first come on, I think he tried to do some little turn on a player and lost it. And I thought, he's doing exactly what Roro did. He's trying too hard here. But then it come off a few times, and I didn't realise how quick he was. And on his birthday, first competitive game, he got an assist, and it's a good option to have, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think on the commentary, Chris Temple said when he came on about how quick he was.
Yeah.
And I'd not really seen much of him before. I'd heard good things, especially, I mean, he scored in that West Ham game, didn't he, in pre-season. As you said, I think he was trying a bit too hard at the start. It's a lot different to when you're playing kind of reserve or youth football, whatever they call it now. When you come up against these Football League defenders, they're hot on your heels and they're not going to let you get that yard of space to turn them. But he got the beatment of his man. He put in a very good ball to Surridge as well. And yeah, definitely. And again, we've got these young lads, and a lot of people are saying that we should give them a go. And I can't really disagree with them. When we've got this tough run of fixtures, you've got to utilise the squad. And I feel like a lot of them, you can't do any worse, I don't think, than a couple of the lads, definitely.
Yeah, no, it's important, isn't it? Because like we keep mentioning about all the games coming up, and we talk about the squad and options we have, but when we look at the likes of Surridge and Anthony on the bench, we don't really think about it. But I think them two, and maybe even Namdi going forward as well, off the ball, they're options that perhaps we don't look at. But it was really because I can't lie, I haven't seen much of Jayden at all.
No.
But just a little cameo, I thought, he's already an option that I didn't think we really had. Kind of just filling the bench, I thought. But
it could be that way with Kilkenny and with Offerball, because we don't know how they play in this league, and it could come to the fact that we will have to play them at some point. And we had to play Jayden last night, and we found out that he could be a good little talent. So I'm hoping that slowly we can start to blood some of the youngsters in, give them a couple of games. Barnsley might be the perfect time to do it, but on the same front, you think we need a reaction on Friday. So you want your more experienced players. It's a difficult one. Tough one.
Yeah, and I suppose we've just got to trust that kind of Jason, that they know the fatigue of the players at the moment, who's dealing with the congestion of games better, etc., etc. But in terms of Jason, we'll give him a quick rating. I think it's a really difficult one because we've lost the game, so you want to go low. But I think he probably started the team with Arnie not being fit, probably that everyone else wanted.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the changes were pretty good. I don't really feel like any of us would have done much different. And we played better in the second. But again, we're not starting well enough. And if we're going to give him credit for halftime team talks and that we have done this season, there's also got to be a question of why we're not starting that way. But yeah, what would you think? Give him a quick rating or whatever, and what you thought on the team and stuff.
I think before the game, when the team was released, general consensus, everyone was quite happy with it. I mean, I was happy with it. I'm pretty sure you was as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying we're not starting well, and that has been the trend this season. I think it is something that needs to be addressed quite quickly, because this time it is one step too far. We've relied a lot on individual quality that just didn't come through last night. They had that little bit of individual quality with that Scott Sinclair goal, and I think the changes that he made, they did help the game. They were the correct ones. But as you said, we've lost the game, so you can't give him too much of a high rating. No. I guess you've got to go with a 6 out of 10. You just got to rely on the players that are out there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, mate. And it is a difficult one, because I think a few times, I think the Sheffield Wednesday game, I remember everyone being happy with the team. It's like I almost want him to put a team out that no one's happy with. That seems to work better. But I don't know what you think, mate. Just quickly. Because I was looking at it, and I remember at this, I'm definitely someone that prefers the back four and the way and the system we're kind of playing at the moment. Yeah. But I remember at the start of the season, I was, when we weren't losing games, but we probably weren't playing that well, a few too many draws. And the general consensus seemed to be, oh, it's because we're playing three at the back. Why is he playing three at the back? And I was kind of making a point that I thought, I don't think it's all down to the system, I think you'll find that if we go to a 4, we'll probably be more offensively, a threat. We'll probably score more goals, and that has been the case. But a point I want to make is when we weren't playing well with a 3, everyone was saying it was because we're playing with a 3. But I haven't seen anyone say that last night was because we played with a 4. But what I will say is we played 10 games with 3 at the back, and we played 5 games with 4 at the back. We've conceded the same amount of goals in half the amount of games. So as much as we've scored more goals, and I totally agree, and I prefer to go with that. I'm not saying otherwise, but people also need to appreciate that will probably make us more vulnerable to a counter-attack. And I thought that was evident last night. We don't concede them goals with 3 at the back, in my opinion.
No.
But I agree it's just getting that balance. I think we look better going forward, but we do look weaker at the back. And I don't know, what would you think? First of all, prediction for Friday, and also, what changes would you make? Obviously, Lerma's one that would definitely be without, and hopefully Arnie, I'm hearing, potentially might be in contention.
I think we've got to start changing maybe the formation to adapt to certain games.
Yeah,
I feel like we could certainly see a 3 at the back on Friday, because I feel like you can bring Kelly in, and Kelly, as I said, is a much better player at centre back.
Yeah.
And Rico generally plays a lot better as a left wing back. I think we did always look stronger defensively with the 3 at the back, but it was at the expense of our attacking play. There was almost quite a lot of space between our midfield and our attack. The 2 in midfield has always been a debate within the Bournemouth community, because for a lot of years, especially under Howe, we'd stick with 2 in midfield. Yeah. A lot of teams in this league and in the Premier League play with a 3 in midfield, and it was just a simple outnumbering. I'd hope that we do react on Friday. I think we could, as I said, we could definitely see a change in formation. I want to ask you this question though, and I saw a couple of people on Twitter say it. Do you think we have got better as a team, or are we just playing worse opposition?
What you mean, since we changed the system and stuff, do you think we're playing better?
Or even,
or are we just playing worse teams?
Off the end of last season, are we playing better from the end of last season, or are we just playing worse opposition now?
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of both. I think the team is we're gonna look better going forward. Put it that way, because the teams aren't going to be as good as the Premier League opposition, and we've on paper got better quality than the opposition, which never was the case really in the Premier League too much. I think we're still trying to find our identity again. I think it's like I say, it's that balance. We can either try and sort out the defence, and then that takes a lot out, which I felt Eddie was trying to do at the back end of last season, and last season in general. I felt he tried to address things defensively, and it took so much away from us going forward. But he was trying to make us that better team, because we had always conceded too many goals, but it just didn't work. I personally think this season we ought to just go for it, and we're going to concede I remember the first game of the season where we won 3-2 against Blackburn. I thought, I'm happy with that, because I think if we're saying you attack, we attack, 90% of the time we'll score more than the opposition, because I think we've got better players. They'll just be exactly what you said. I think you've got to look at the opposition, and I think the first half to second half thing, a lot of it has been down to the fact that opposition are pressing us from the start, not letting us have time on the ball, and then when the second half comes round, they're tiring and they go deeper, and that allows us to have more of the ball. I would be quite happy to see us, like you say, bring Kelly in, go to a 3. You're going to have to bring, say, a Gosling in for Lerma, and then rest either Stanislas or Brooks, and whichever one you start, play in that kind of 10, and play Surridge alongside Solanke and go for 3-5-2. I would be happy to see that from the start, and then potentially, if it's not going well, we might be able to have options like Dan Juma, like Stan or Brooks, whichever one we leave out, to bring off the bench. I think I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he changed it straight after our first defeat, didn't he? But we've got options, and I think they're good problems to have. It's difficult, and I think there's always going to be pros and cons to different systems and things like that. So I agree with you. I think you go off the opposition, but Give me a quick prediction, scoreline for Friday.
I was going to say a 2-0, but I don't back us to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
I'll go to I'll say we'll go 2-0 up, and then we'll concede, and it'll be a bit back to the wall like it always is. But I think Barnsley won against Birmingham last night, didn't they?
They're actually on a decent little.
Yeah.
They seem to be. The frustrating thing for me is when I look at Barnsley, I think, yeah, that reminds me of a team like a Rotherham, like a Preston, and we obviously, and I do think we talked about it on our podcast Sunday. I do think there'll be certain games where I think we almost suit the footballing team to play against a footballing side. But having said that, I actually thought Preston were quite a decent footballing side.
Yeah, we can out football most teams in this division, but as you said, Preston were a much better footballing side than I expected them to be.
Definitely.
And that was what was the most disappointing thing from that game, I think, was how well we were outplayed, really.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And hopefully we'll bounce back. But appreciate you coming on, mate. Whack all Cameron's Twitters and that in the thing below, all that stuff. And I'm sure we'll see him again soon. But yeah, that's it for the player ratings. Disappointing one, but hopefully we'll bounce back. At least we've got a game in a couple of days' time. But yeah, let us know what you think, if you agree with the ratings and what you think about Friday, what you would do, system, personnel, things like that. Be an interesting one, and all the general YouTube rubbish. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, subscribe if you haven't, all that stuff. But yeah, cheers for watching, and hopefully be a bit more of an upbeat one on Friday, probably 5:30, remember. So we'll see you then. Up the cherries.